Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Talking Horses, day 2. And I'm not going to go through the day. I'm not going to number the days here at Aqueduct because when we get to day 127, it might get a little bit tiresome. But anyway, he's Jonathan Kinchin. I'm Andy Serling, and we're back at the Big A. We got to carry over the Pick Six. I was talking about this, I think, maybe with Nick Tamro last night. We were discussing whether or not this pick, he said that Pick Six would have been hit in Saratoga. I think it was Nick, and I said, no, I don't think that one. I mean, it's possible, but that one was wildly tough yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't see. I saw the horse that kind of triggered it at the end. Paid what?
That horse
40 something.
50. Well, the 7th winner paid 41 and probably should have paid 24. And I have no idea how the last winner paid $53. The horse could have paid $28. It seemed like they were overlays, but there was also just a series of sort of complicated races and at best sort of outlier types that you might have used, the kind of horses that you and I might use as C's, were winning a bunch of the races. They certainly weren't that impossible.
I would go with the hybrid approach of you and Nick's perspective that maybe during the week it would have been a carryover, but maybe on a Saturday, Sunday.
It's possible. You and I talk about it quite a bit off camera, and we talk about the numbers involved, and it's a discussion of the $1 versus the $2 Pick Six, right? I mean, a $2 Pick Six is more likely to create carryovers because there's less combinations covered. So the question is, who's playing it and how you're supposed to look at it. And I don't know about you, I've always viewed the Pick Six as sort of a very separate pool for pretty much a specific group of players. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that there's probably some guys that throw in little $48 lottery tickets. Their strike rate's probably not that high.
Right, we're better off they're better off if they don't play.
Yeah,
I hate to say it, but
and then I think it's some of the bigger tickets coming together, playing against each other.
I agree. Anyway, we got 9 to talk about, so we'll get to work. Head over to Naira Bets. Use the promo code MATCH200. We'll match you with $200 of your initial deposit. We have, I've just got an instruction. I have to move my tie to the left. Which way is that? I think that's my right. Thank you. I appreciate the help from my friends on, that was Nick too. Anyway, carryovers 35,123 starts in race number 4 of our 9-race card. And we have 5,000 hit and split, late pick 5 here. You'll want to opt in for that over at Naira Bets as well. We've got the Saturday contest. You have to post time tomorrow to sign up for this. Head over to nairabets.com/contest for more information. You can only play it to Naira Bets 1 to 5:30, I want to say today. You and I will be on early. And I believe Maggie's in the paddock, and Greg and Paulie LaDuca. Paul LaDuca, who I believe is preparing for a return to Citi Field tomorrow.
Is tomorrow
There's an alumni game.
Is it tomorrow?
Yes.
God, we had said we were going to go to
I don't, yeah, we're supposed to have, like, we should send a MiG out there or something, you know? We should have somebody covering Paulie out there. Maybe Paulie could show the show on the big screen out there or something.
He better get a hit. I know that.
For sure. Race number 1, well, I will take a look at Boloro, who you and I both have on top. The number 5 was going to be I have to think by post, an overwhelming favorite. And I wanted to try to beat this horse with probable angle, but I'll let you talk about Boloro, who I'm with you, is a very likely winner.
Yeah, I mean, you have 2 starts that are faster than anyone else has run. Then you also have the experience factor, the fitness factor. The horse is right there, just finds a group, I think, that's going to hit her, right between the eyes. The only issue I have with this horse is in her last 2 starts, or her only 2 starts, she hadn't broken all that great. I don't think that's going to matter based on who she's facing here, but if you want to put a little chink in her armor, she's not great away from there.
No, I agree. You know, it's one thing when it happens in just their debuts, but it happened again last time, and I know Jonathan and I aren't saying that she broke 2 lengths behind the field, but I think in a lot of ways it shows her performance was better than it was because she kind of rushed up to engage the pace. She did not break that sharply. On the other hand, she has not broken that well, and right now, she and the 1 are similar prices. I can't believe that Tai Rose, who has never been on a dry track, is going to end up a similar price to this horse, though I could be wrong.
No. Someone knows someone named Tai bet a couple $100.
The Tai money is coming in early? You think that's what it is?
Tai money came
See what happens. I was going to try to beat Boloro. Can't do it right now with the 4 scratched. I think the scratches went through my selections and scratched a few. We had one where we both liked 2 horses. They were both scratched. Race number 2. I think the discussion of race number 2, it has to start with the horse you have on top that I'm obviously trying to beat. And we'll take a look at Sergeant Cap's last race. And there is no doubt that if he runs this race, he's going to be tough to beat. Now, I think there are 3 fuzzies, all of whom may show up and beat this horse. My problem is, Jonathan, he's 8-5 morning line. He's going out for a trainer that has been winning at a very low percentage over the last year or 2 years at Naira, and he's 0 for 16. And a short price.
Yeah, that is definitely a concern, the trainer change. But this horse's last 2 races were pretty darn good. And I think that
last race was good. I mean, he beat by a heavy favorite, a big Clarvis drop down.
And to me, that was the part that made it hardest to digest for him. I just think that he's the best horse. He's drawn well. He's his last 3 dirt races, last 4 dirt races probably win this one. So if Wayne Potts can just keep going what's been going, I think he'll be tough.
I believe that one of the 3, if not more than one of the 3 fuzzies, will beat him. And I'll start in the inside, and I basically put Red Miller on top because he's the biggest price of the fuzzies. And he's a new gelding, picks up Dylan Davis. I thought his debut was good enough with a little bit of improvement. He could compete here. I don't love the John Terranova's numbers. He's just 1 for 15, maiden special weight to maiden claimers on dirt. But don't you think like horses like Metatron, coming off a long layoff, going to Carlos David is a little bit interesting. This horse got bet off the board in his debut. I don't know why. He didn't know running. Dr. Incel, a horse who ran for Todd first time out, that ran in a super tough maiden race, that kind of jumped up at the start and broke a couple lengths slow. He's been gelded. Don't you feel like one of these 3 horses is likely to show up and win this race? That's the way I looked at it.
Metatron's going to be bet. The only reason that I didn't pick him on top is I actually don't think he's going to be 7-2. The workout report has a B+ work for him, 2 works back, coming off.
He won't be 7-2 then.
They're going to bet the horse.
Right.
So he'll be a little bit shorter, and I think when his price comes down, the 6 feels a little bit more trustworthy. I'm still hoping that the 5 is going to duplicate his work in the afternoon, but I would need both of them in multi-race wagering.
And looking at the early doubles, it's too early to say, but the 2, 5, and 6 are similar prices. I get it with Sergeant Caps, just not the kind of horse I can put on top, but I don't disagree. His last race was pretty good. I feel like one or some of these horses are going to run better. Race number 3. I'm going to tell you, Jonathan actually was picking a 20-1 shot in race number 3. And I was like really excited that you had picked a 20-1 shot on top, and then the horse had to get scratched.
I know.
Very disappointing, Jonathan.
It's
so you're scratching the even money. He tried. He came close to trying to pick a price.
Even I still couldn't. It just wouldn't work.
The gods would not allow
It
you.
wouldn't allow it to happen.
And we'll take a look at my man Matty. So my first question is, we show him, this is 2 races back in 2023. Which one do you prefer? Or do you think they're both super dangerous? I think they're both super dangerous, yeah.
Yeah, I picked them. I actually wrote it in 1A 742 because I like both of the horses, right?
Yeah.
Especially with the horse that I liked. Yeah, I mean, if my man Matty runs the race 2 back, he's going to be extremely tough to beat. But
it's a long time ago.
It's a long time ago. There's a huge question. It's also, the other thing about it, too, that was a little concerning to me is I think we all know how badly Jay Provenzano wanted to win.
And he didn't get this horse in Saratoga.
Yeah. So and maybe this was one of the ones that would have been a win, but at the same time, or maybe the horse is just a little bit behind. He
didn't really run that
twice.
badly in his return race, to be honest. That race fell apart, so I don't even think his return race was that bad, which in some ways bothers me even more about the big drop.
Right. I mean, he tried to get him in twice at a higher level, and now he drops him in here. That would be a little bit of a concern, but in most situations, the entry thing can be very annoying, and we'll be glad when it goes away. But in this situation, I'm covering the 2 horses I like the most.
I'd still rather take the one I want and get a better price.
I know. I'm with you.
As far as the 7, who you've got second, essentially, in this race, I have to bet Ace in this race, and I don't disagree. The entry is way the horse to beat. Listen, I don't think heavyweight champ's impossible, though, to be honest with you. I'm getting a little tired of him. He does drop substantially, but another barn that's been cold, maybe things will turn around at Aqueduct. Ace, to me, is a really interesting horse. This horse raced against some serious racehorses. If you start going through some of the horses he met, he was meeting horses that are in a different galaxy than the one he's meeting here. And he didn't always run that badly. I think it's interesting. I don't know what they paid for him. It's obviously new owners because it's obviously Carlos Figueroa. So this horse was bought from Jimmy Chapman, and this horse just was too interesting for me not to pick. You know, he's just got all the accoutrements to be a horse that's probably bought for less than 17,000, so he's probably not a massive drop down. He's got plenty of races in there that certainly give him a chance to be competitive here. He's got speed, and I just wanted to take a shot with him as the alternative in here.
Yeah, I mean, I've got no problem. Like I said, he's got some back numbers. The one thing I do like about this horse, too, especially at this level, is the consistency of his works. You know, a lot of times these horses can be a little tough to kind of keep together. But, I mean, if you look from June 16th all the way to August 30th, he's on, like, that pretty much 7 to 10-day work schedule. That's a nice, consistent run for a horse that's in for 17.5.
Yeah, and listen, we've seen Carlos have success since coming back and training with the limited number of starters. He's won some races, so I'm going to take Ace It, but I don't disagree. The entry, the ones to beat. Race number 4, and we'll break after 5. Race 4 begins the pick 6 with a carryover, and I don't know about you, Jonathan. I thought this was, I mean, you can see from our picks, they're very different. I thought this was a very, very hard race.
Yeah, I mean, this is the one that I hate having to spread in the first leg. I don't know why. I prefer spread.
Well, because psychologically, if you spread in the first race, it's going to reduce how much you can use in the other races.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd love to be able to get through the first 2 legs using 2x2 or something.
And plus, this is just another theory of mine. I like to be skinny in the first leg so that if I get beat, I can just come
Me
back
too.
and play the pick 5.
Right. If I have a single,
Yeah.
I want it in the first leg.
too,
There's nothing
100%.
worse than the single in the last leg. Psychologically, it is funny. I totally agree with you. I want to get the pain over with. The other thing is when you blow out in the first leg, you just come back with a pick 5 if you want.
best.
So I agree. Let's start with Ranger Battalion, who we both left out of here. He did have a little bit of trouble early. Now, this was a problem. He got left. You don't really get to see it well because the cameras weren't put in the right place. But he does get left. Got a pretty good trip, though, after. And I know he came up the rail, but he came off a gold rail trip the time before that. He's got 2 sloppy track races, and I just wonder if he's really that good.
I know one thing for sure.
He wins, you lose?
He is not as good as he looks on paper. Now, he can still win.
Yeah.
But I'm confident he's not as good as he looks on paper. And at 7-2, when you got to crack some eggs somewhere, he was the one that I felt like I could try to beat.
I think that makes perfect sense. I agree with you. And I mean, like I said, I'm with you on that completely. And I wanted to show Commuted and Dreamlike's last race. They ran 1-2. This was a 4-horse field where Commuted was able to control on the front end, and Dreamlike had to be taken out of his game, whatever game he has left. And if Commuted wins with other speed in the race, I'm going to lose. I think if you want somebody out of this race, it's the 3 Dreamlike going to Linda.
Yeah, I just,
I don't trust him either. But
Yeah, this horse was so good at one point, and he's been so bad since, right? I mean, he's second in the Pennsylvania Derby, the Saudi Crown, and now he's getting an unlucky trip beat for 50. I don't know. I mean, I used him defensively. I'll use him in the pick 6 just because I'm not going to let Dreamlike beat me in a race where I'm spreading. I sided with Commuted just because I'm always going to side. If they're close, I'm going to side with a horse that has speed.
But don't you feel like Register and even Regazzo Diabolico are going to outrun this horse early?
Register, I think, will probably run a little bit. He's drawn outside. I mean, he's probably going to run his last, 2 of his last 3 starts. He's shown some speed.
He's got some pretty good speed if Katie wants to send him. I'm going to take Register in here. I know people are going to look and say he's a wet track horse. Well, just because his last 4 races have been on a wet track, so last 4 dirt races, doesn't mean he's a wet track horse. I don't know. I thought he'd be a bit of a price in here, and I thought he's run races fast enough to win. And I just took him in here because he's a big price in a race where I just think a whole lot of these can win.
Yeah.
I mean, who do you really, let's put it this way. Who do you have thrown? I'll be surprised if Hot Spun wins this race, and I'm not particularly in love with the 8 Regazzo Diabolico. Great for me. I threw up the 20-1 and 15-1 morning lines. I don't think anybody else is impossible here.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. The 5 and the 8 I don't need. The 8 just because if they go too slow, then the 8's going to get run by a horse that'll be closer. And if they go too fast, the 8's certainly not good enough to hold.
Right, I agree. So House United, who just seems somewhat logical.
Yeah, I just felt like the horse was going to get the right trip. Since moving from Al Stall, this horse has actually ran pretty well in every start outside of the turf race. Has run pretty good. Those races have come back productive. I thought last time was a lifetime best for him, so maybe he's just going in the right direction. And I think his style should suit whichever way this race is run.
Yeah, no, I have no problem with him. I agree with you. I think he's perfectly logical. I'm just trying to get a horse home that I think has run races fast enough to win and is probably going to be too big a price, at least in my estimation. This is a crazy competitive race. I don't think this is an easy sequence by any stretch. And you think
No.
I think the last race, I mean, I picked a crazy horse in the last race. I don't trust anybody in that last race, and one I kind of liked, Final Denial Scratch. So it doesn't start out easy, and you come to the second leg, the fifth. I mean, it's just complete guessing here, right?
This was going to be the easiest race.
Because we were going to use 2 and 8, and we
was
thought
it.
that would get us through it.
That was gonna be good.
I'm with you on that, and now they're both scratched.
Now I've got no idea.
Right. I mean, I moved my pick to credit risk because I didn't want to take Golden Miracle on top. I'd had the horse third because Jose Jimenez seems to occasionally pop with weird horses, but I'm not putting that horse on top. I guess with credit risk, I like the job Lisa's been doing. You know, I can't resist Tacitus, as you know, but I have no idea here.
No, I've got no clue. I landed on the 7 because it was experience. The horse had experience.
Yeah.
Horse ran, just ran around there on the turf.
There's enough dirt pedigree.
Yeah, this is a complete guess. There's no trainers that have any like real huge edge with first-time starters. In fact, there's a lot of trainers that are bad with first-time starters. I thought the homebred, the 3, was interesting. They're in for a tag, but I don't know.
The 5 cost $7,000. I don't know what that means because we sometimes see these really cheap foals turn out to do really well,
But the thing about this horse with the 5, which kept me from picking that one on top, was entered in the turf on August 27th, and then was entered on the turf August 27th. Has been down at Palm Meadows. I feel like they knew they weren't going to get in, so they didn't ship up at that time. So they stayed down in Florida. Then they just came here. I feel like they want turf, but now I don't know. This race is impossible, and it's going to annoy me if I get beat in the pick 6 from this race.
No, I agree. It is a very tricky 2 races to start it out, and I'm just not sure how much easier it gets, but we'll get into the late pick 4 after a quick break.
You bet with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Download the Naira Bets app to play today and get a $200 deposit bonus. Watch live horse racing. Get expert picks. Boost your bankroll with weekly promotions and hone your handicapping skills with exclusive tips and tutorials. Download the Naira Bets app now. Sign up now to claim your $200 deposit match bonus. You bet with Naira Bets.
Welcome back to Talking Horses. Jonathan Kinchin and Andy Serling. We were talking a little off camera about the pick 6 and discussing what do you do. And, everything in these things boils down to how much money you have to invest and how you structure your tickets. And, this is probably a perfect example of why caveman tickets are bad. Because we both think sounds like a plan, and we'll take a look at his last race where he ran extremely well, and that race sort of fell apart. He wasn't able to get the lead. He's probably going to be able to get it in this race. He's way the horse to beat, and the whole world's going to be singling. On the other hand, if you can beat him, you get a chance to do some damage in this pick 6. And you were saying how Cognoscenti was your backup, and I'll let you talk about him in a second. But you can't play a pavement ticket if you put in $600, let's just say, come with a random number, and use 300 in each. You probably want to use 450 to 500 in the 5 and 100 to 150 on this horse, right?
100%. Yeah, you
on
got
the 6.
Yeah, and you just don't want to spend as much. But that's the hardest part. I always tell people, and they ask for like, I'm trying to, how do I get better? I always tell them, spend less time handicapping and more time constructing your tickets. Because I think it's the opposite. Most people will look at a race for an hour and then spend 30 to 45 seconds creating their wager. And I think you should try to be more equitable with your distribution of time for those two things.
I agree, and I think it's well put. But also, I also would say, I feel as though, and it's hard for me because I am a man of strong opinions, many of them bad, some of them good. Opinions get in the way of hitting pick 6s. Being stubborn, being obstinate. I hate this horse. That's where you get yourself in trouble. And I think, our friend Nick Tamaro, I'll bring up again. In my opinion of our friends, he's as good a balance of handicapping and putting together tickets, I think, as anyone we know. Is that fair?
I agree. Yeah.
Sure. He really knows. And listen, handicapping's important, but honestly, maybe the biggest winner I know in this game has a mediocre opinion, but was one of the most brilliant bettors I've ever seen.
You don't get paid more for being like
Right.
extra right. You know what I mean? Like it's the same.
Right. Yeah, I know. You get lucky to win a race at 12-1. They pay you the same money as if the horse won by 6 and was much the best.
Every big score I had, I was never right. I was right, not that wrong.
Right.
Got lucky, right.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, I mean, the other thing I think that people are confused by is bad luck. The reality is, the better your opinion, the more bad luck you're going to encounter. Because if you're a bad handicapper and you're picking a lot of horses that can't win, you're not going to get unlucky because your horses suck. They can't win. Whereas the better your opinion, the more they're going to run effectively and be subject to the vagaries of racing. I mean, that's just a fact. So I think a lot of people who are good handicappers say, I'm really unlucky. Well, no, you're a good handicapper. So therefore, you put yourself in better position to be unlucky, unfortunately, in this game. It's one of the things we hate about it, and it's one of the things we love about it. I'm not going to try to beat sounds with a plan. I'll let you talk about Cognoscenti for a moment, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to use the horse a little bit. I mean, it's one of those horses where if the 5 doesn't show up or the 5, somehow gets challenged and the thing falls apart, I think Cognoscenti could run on. I think 2 races back, one of the things I took away from the summer, and I thought the horses ran well with this opinion, was that July 4th weekend, being on the inside of the inner turf courses where you wanted to be, horses that found themselves on the outside, I thought improved off of those races.
He was never inside, this horse.
No, and he didn't run well in his last race, but that was longer in a race that Kigali kind of freaked in there.
Made a middle move,
Yeah.
a mile and 3/8 race. I think that's a valid point. One of the things about this race, like, I'm willing to let Amplitude beat me. He's going to take money because of the connections. Okay, he was second off a layoff last time. He was awful. He sat on the rail. Charles J. outclosed him. I didn't think he ran well. My weirdo horse to throw in would be I'm Due, because he's a new gelding, and he has some turf races that give him a chance to be in the hunt. He's run against some better horses looking through it, and I thought he was a little bit interesting, so I may try a 5-1 exacta here, see what happens. But, in this pick 6, for most people playing on at least somewhat of a limited budget, you got to think that Sounds Like a Plan is going to be an overwhelming favorite in the sequence, especially because it's so difficult going forward. Because even the 7th race, who I had liked the one left him behind, and we'll show the race with Aggregation, Palace Boss, and Get a Job. I have no argument with you that Aggregation ran the best race of any of these, not just because he finished ahead, but he was off a layoff, he was contentious in the pace, as the others were too. My problem is I just don't love these horses off long layoffs in their second start back. And often they come back and regress a little bit. Is that fair?
I mean, yes. Are you saying that specifically about Chads or just horses in
No,
general?
a lot of horses in general. And even with Chad, you'll see them come back and run really well off layups, and they don't always come back and run as well in their next starts.
Yeah, well, I think maybe it's because the second start is typically, especially for people that are good off the layoff like Chad is, I would imagine the second start is almost the second thought, because
Right, they're getting him ready off the layoff, and they run a big race. If he runs his last race, I have little doubt he's the horse to beat.
He just ran too good for me. He was wide, like you named a lot of things, also wide being one of them. He was wide all the way around there. I thought he ran pretty well. Ran into Cut the Cord, who ran well. I think he's going to move forward off of that, and if he moves forward, he's going to be very tough.
Okay, if Get a Job is 5-2, I'll take Butter. I don't think Get a Job's going to be a similar price to Aggregation. I disagree with David here. I know he was favored last time. This is Butter.
He always gets bet, this horse,
Okay.
for some reason.
I want to finish talking about the other race, so we're going to let Butter roll, and we're going to talk about him later. As far as Get a Job, I picked him because he's claimed by Bill Morey. Simple as that. And the problem is I picked the 1. And I was going to scratch into the 2, and I didn't want to put the 2 on top. So I had to move somebody else in front of him. And for me, Get a Job off the claim. He's got back races. I didn't understand why he was bet last time. I actually thought he ran okay. Now he's outside the other speeds, and I'm hoping he can get the right trip off the claim for Bill Morey. It's respect for him. That's why I put him on top. Listen, I don't have a strong opinion with the 1 coming out. Left him behind was one of the horses I wanted to bet today, so I feel badly. Do you think Butter can win this race? He does get a big rider change. No disrespect, but I think Kendrick is a rider improvement.
Oh, I agree with you on that. I just think that, like, last time in an off-the-turf race,
Oh, he should have won.
he should have won.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, he'll probably beat me. I really like Aggregation. I don't like Aggregation more than I like Sounds Like a Plan. But if I had to single someone else besides Sounds Like a Plan, it would be Aggregation.
Okay. I'm not convinced. I'm not sold on that horse. I've never really trusted him. I've never thought he was as good as some of the big figures he's run. And I'm just not sure how fast he really is. But we'll see. And listen, I hope he does well. I don't want to take him at a short price. Race number 8. I looked long and hard at race number 8 to try to beat this horse, Iron Max. I'm going to show his last race. And I don't disagree with the notion that you're taking a short price on a horse that lacks speed. I thought this was an amazing win by him. And this is considering that I bet on Gene and Jude, who almost won the race and might have won if this horse didn't come along, because it felt like the only reason that winning to risk it all past him was when the other horse passed by. But this was a race with no pace, where there was no movement in the race other than Iron Max. And to me, he's a horse that completely beat the dynamics. And listen, I know he's moving up. He won a maiden race, maiden claimer, then he won this, the starter allowance. Now he's running in the allowance race. But I thought he ran extremely well last time and better than the fig suggests.
Before the scratch of the 7 terminal velocity, I thought the 3 or the 4 had to win this race because it felt like the pace was going to be quick.
You don't still think it'll be quick?
I still hope that it will be quick. That's why I still have the 3 and the 4 on top. But now I have to use Real Savvy as well.
I agree.
Because I think that last time wasn't the right decision.
Real Savvy.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
And 2 back, let him roll. And I think that Miguel and Joel will have figured that out. And they'll let him roll, especially with the scratch of the 7. So my fear is now the 5 could get loose. I still think the 3 and the 4 have a better chance of running them down.
You don't think Mo Creasa or Royal Brown could go?
No, I still hope that they go because I'm gonna try to keep it with the 3 and the 4. I'm just not gonna let the 5 beat me. The 10 and Experience 2 times back I thought ran fast enough to pressure from an outside draw if they want to go. I think the pace will still be honest, but we've been around New York a while. I won't be shocked if we look up and Real Savvy's out there going 24 and 49. I'm not going to be confused by that.
Yeah, before we talk about Charles J., who you picked up, it's funny. You and I have, whether we're right or wrong, have the exact same opinion of Real Savvy, and that's why I put him second. Watching that race, and feel free to watch the replay of it, it just felt like, and I'm not blaming Flavian. They obviously decided to rate, and it turned out to be the wrong one. It also had a pretty fast pace, and there was a lot of speed in that race, which is probably why they rated. He just seemed miserable rating behind horses. I completely agree with you.
That's the important part about it. Is that if they would have let him roll in that race, the same result would have happened.
Right, exactly.
Because the pace was so quick.
Right.
But they tried to make a decision. We know it's going to be fast. Let's see. Okay, we learned. Now we go to the next.
I agree with you. I agree, and that's why I have him second, and I actually considered putting him on top for all those exact reasons. We'll take a look at Charles J. last race, and my problem with him is, man, Irad gave him such a great ride. He stayed on the rail, he angled out, and he still didn't quite get there. Maybe, though, he's going to get more pace today. And he did lose to a pretty good horse in Fidelia Cat, or whatever, Caillou, whatever.
Yeah, he came running, and he's come running in his last couple of starts, and he ran well last time. He had blinkers for the first time in this start. I saw like the headline on the DRF. I'm not.
What's the headline?
Just like that he seemingly would have won if the distance was correct.
Oh, this is the race that was run at the wrong distance, and not to make light of it. Yeah. One thing I want to ask is, what about people that won in the race? But forgetting about that, I don't know. Because the thing about longer distances is, and I, by the way, it's inexcusable that it was running the wrong distance. I'm not trying to, in any way, try to whitewash that. But they make their moves at the same point at the longer distance. Now, maybe it works against the horse in front. And listen, you bet a race, you have a right to feel like you got it running the distance you want to bet. I will not argue that. I'm a horse player. Having said that, it's not as cut and dry, I think, as people suggest it was.
It's like, going to an obscure football reference that you won't. I could say that if Colt McCoy didn't get hurt when Texas played Alabama for the national championship, that Texas would have won. That's a whole lot of what if. It just doesn't. Well, it doesn't. You can't. And I think the same can be said about when we have these inquiries where we're like, well, it cost the 7 a position. Well,
you don't know. Or somebody says they could have gone around again. Yeah. And it's like, well, you also don't know that. You're right. Listen, one of the things, to get off on a little tangent about those things is, it's not just the path not taken. I wonder how many car accidents we might have gotten in if we had left the house 5 seconds later or 5 seconds earlier. You know, everything in life is a randomness to things happening, right? And it's the time, you know, how would your life have played out if you had, you know, left, you know, stayed, if you had stayed in one day when you went out and, you know, what, you know, if I hadn't been idiotically running down the street near where you live and hadn't badly twisted my ankle, I wouldn't be limping a lot of the time 7 years ago because that's who I am. So yeah, all these things, they all come out in the continuum of time, right?
It works itself
and
out.
I agree, but it's true. It is true. You know, to say that, like, you're suggesting he would have moved earlier and then he would have had more time to get there, and it's a whole lot of what ifs.
Yeah.
We love racing because it's filled with what ifs. And then there's the last race. So now you've somehow navigated this course. It's like, did you ever play those labyrinths? You know, the things where you have the things, you know, and the ball, isn't that what a pick six is? It's basically a
100%.
labyrinth, right? Where you're trying to get through without falling in the hole. Now you get to this race. And we'll start out with Enlighten, who we have on top. And I get it, he can win, but I'm going to tell you something about this horse. Shouldn't he have won this race? I know the figures are higher, and I get all that, but he should have won this race, and he's still a Todd Pletcher drop down.
Yeah, you know, I feel the same way about him and Sassy Princess, which is
filly.
that they both were meant to win that day on the drop. Sassy Princess did. The one thing about Enlighten that I like is it's a very sharp claim for Tom Morley. I'm sure that I wish I
We'll
knew.
find out how sharp it was.
I wish I knew how many dropped on this horse. I bet it was a lot.
I can ask Rob.
I bet it was
I'm
a
sure
lot.
it was a lot.
Well, because this is one of those deals where who's dropping the horse matters to me. Centennial is not in the game to have these types of horses. They're in the game. They buy 5 or 6 to try to make stallions.
They got a
and
pretty
see
good
what
one
they-
now.
Yeah. I
think
feel like
6.
this is an aggressive drop, and a horse that I think is much better than he looks like he is on paper, and I think he's going to be tough.
Except Tom drops him back in for 40, knowing he's going to lose him. I'm just saying.
Right.
He's
Well,
not overly thrilled that he has him.
I don't think he's a stake.
I don't think
horse.
he's wrong
I
to
think
run him
he's
here,
a
but
useful horse. Run him here, win, and let someone take him.
I got him second. He's the horse to beat in here. I don't trust him. I have a horse I'm married to. I have got to bet on Life and Light. And I'm going to say something.
You've been chasing this horse for a while,
Well,
now that I remember right.
I liked
and
him
I'm not
too-
saying that in a bad way.
No,
I'm
I know.
saying I
I
feel
liked
like
him 2 back.
2 back, right?
I'm going to
okay.
tell you, he ran a winning race 2 back. He chased that insane pace. You know, that was, what's his name, I think? That was the speed horse that won yesterday, I think, stretched out in there. The
Wally World, War Officer?
No. The horse that won the 6 furlong race yesterday, that crazy speed horse. It was Best Bet. I think Best Bet was in his lat race,
Okay.
2 back. And he ran off. And this horse made the first aggressive move into it. And he only lost second by a length and a quarter to Wally World, who came back with a terrific race in Saratoga. I think if he runs that race that he ran, and also, isn't he the speed in here? Isn't he just supposed to go? I just think the Calm Barrage is supposed to let him go and let him run. Now, obviously last time, but something happened early in that race. It was steadied a little bit, and basically Lane just did, he just gave up on him. And Lane's not that rider, you know what I mean? He's trying out there. I feel like something went wrong. He comes back here. I mean, the thing is, not just his race 2 back. If you go to those 2 turf races in October and November, you're going to really tell me they can't win here?
Yeah, no, I mean...
For a horse who's going to be 1,000,000 to 1, he's got the way I looked at this race, and I went through it, and you probably saw I put up a ridiculous poll on Twitter, how stupid am I to pick this horse?
Yeah,
It was pretty funny, and it was the most even Twitter poll everywhere between completely moronic to brilliant, and I was doing it for fun, but the point was, I kept looking at this race and saying, I know I shouldn't pick this horse. I'm kind of, going after sort of glory, but I will be betting this horse. Who am I supposed to pick here? War Officer? Linda off the claim in turf routes over the last 5 years, 1 for 30. And she claimed this horse from Todd Pletcher. We'll look at Right to Win. Am I really supposed to take Right to Win? I give Manny a lot of credit. He gave this horse about as good a ride as you could give a horse last time out. Having said that, isn't this a better field than he faced last time? Doesn't he have to get better? And he's a tough horse to ride, man.
Yeah, I mean, the top 3 horses in here, Right to Win, Enlighten, and Sassy Princess, are all question mark types.
Silent.
They're going to be the top 3 choices, and they're all like, well, I wonder types. So,
What about
I mean,
Heathguard?
Makes sense.
What about Heathguard? Can he win this race? He's such a plotter.
Yeah, does he need a little bit longer?
Yeah, I don't love him. Sassy Princess, you're taking Amelia Green claimed the filly, and she's running against the boys. I like it. I
Yeah,
don't
I
like
mean-
that horse, but I like that.
I don't think it matters, right?
No, but I don't think she's good enough. You
No,
do.
but I'm saying I don't. Yeah, I mean, they should be done more often. Just like we both agree
Oh,
that running second in a maiden race, there's no reason not to go on to a stake if you think.
Absolutely, right.
So what's the-
Well, you know, in Europe where the fillies and mares run against the boys all the time is because there's less opportunities to run against the girls. But, you know, I go back, and you've read Picking Winners, right?
Yeah.
Andy Beyer has that
No,
great...
Byron Speed.
No, Picking Winners, Andy has the great story
Yeah, I'm ready.
of how he tried to convince Al Scotty, who was training Laughing Bridge in 1974, the 2-year-old filly who was tremendous. Don't run her in the spin-away against Ruffian. She has no chance to beat her. You should run her in the Hopeful against the boys. The Hopeful had a splitting the next day. Some bum won one of the divisions, Foolish Pleasure, who won the Derby and was 14 for 15 at the time when he won the Derby. But nevertheless, his point was, there's no way she can beat Ruffian. I don't care who's in the other race. They're better. And I don't think that's a wrong opinion.
Yeah.
Listen, Graham Motion with Miss Temple City, right? He won against the boys. I think he ran in like the Shadwell as opposed to running in, he was in the fall or the spring. He ran in the boys' race at a mile at Keeneland, and there was a grade 1 for the girls.
Yeah. Didn't Bill Mott do this move with a horse, a 2-year-old?
Well, Bill
turf
Mott
horse?
was smart. No, with Galibrand.
Galibrand.
He entered in both 2-year-old races knowing that rain was possible and one might rain off. The girls got rained off. He ran against the boys and he beat them.
Yes, that was
And it was an incredibly smart move, and nobody's copied it since. But hey, you know, that's the way it is in racing. People do smart things, and sometimes within 4 or 5 years, somebody else follows suit. But yes, you're right.
That was a good one.
I'm amazed that nobody's ever cross-enters in both races. As a tangent, actually, in answering this, I know you know this, in Louisiana, you can enter in 2 races in the same day, and when they have those stakes cards, you'll find people entering a dirt horse in both, like, you know, the mine, whatever their mine shaft, whatever the race are, and whatever the turf race is. I kind of wish that we could do that here, but I guess I understand why not.
Yeah.
But I think it makes sense to do it. Why not? If it gets rained off, you know, and you're suddenly the only dirt horse in that race because everybody entered the race, you're like the
Especially with,
smartest guy in the room.
Especially in this era of the 7-day draw.
Right. Yes. And especially
Whether-
maybe down there. Anyway,
Yeah.
lots to talk about. Good to see you. Good to be back. Head over to Naira Bets, and Jonathan and I will get enough of each other in the next 2 hours as we'll be sitting there. I will be hosting, so be nice. Match 200. We'll match with $200 of your initial deposit. Play through Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime through Naira Bets. We also have Pick 6 carryover, race 4, $35,123. Jonathan and I will talk a little more in the show as well. 5,000 hit split, late pick 5. You want to opt in that, have a chance to do that. Did you play any Churchill last night?
I didn't.
I bet that Al Stall maiden that was 5 in front, top of the stretch, that lost to the Ian Wilkes 45-1 shot that came up the rail.
I did not
The
see
horse had run in that, the wine horse that Chad won that was scratched out of the spin away. She had run that, yes, she'd run in that race. I was counting the money top of the stretch. Saturday contest, $300 buy-in. You have till post time tomorrow. Head over to NairaBets.com/contest. Can only play through Naira Bets. And finally, we are on from 1 to 5:30 on FS2, covering all the action. Thanks again, Jonathan. Thank you for watching. Chris Griffin up next with a reprise of the Scratches and Changes.
You bet with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Download the Naira Bets app to play today and get a $200 deposit bonus. Watch live horse racing. Get expert picks. Boost your bankroll with weekly promotions and hone your handicapping skills with exclusive tips and tutorials. Download the Naira Bets app now. Sign up now to claim your $200 deposit match bonus. You bet with Naira Bets.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Belmont at the Big A. At this time, we ask that you please rise, remove your caps as we honor America with the playing of the national anthem. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Live Racing with the New York Racing Association. Live Racing Belmont at the Big A. 9 races on today's Friday afternoon card. Main track is fast, turf is firm. Carryover in the pick 6 this afternoon. It'll start in today's 4th race. Carryover in the pick 6. Here are today's scratches and changes for Belmont at the Big A. Race 1. Start of the early pick 5. Scratch the 4. A probable angle. Race 2, start of the early pick 4, no changes. Race 3, mandatory payout pick 5. The 5 with 2 open toe bar shoes again. Scratch the 8, King Moon Racer. Race 4, start of that pick 6, carryover, $35,123. Pick 6 starts in race 4 and no changes in today's 4th. Race 5, start of late pick 5. Scratch the 2 on a roll. Scratch the 8, never Heather. Race 6, start of late pick 4. The 5 is £1 over. Scratch the 10, Refua. Scratch the 11, Kings and Queens.